She opened 2 hotels in Las Vegas, Aladdin Resort and Casino, now Planet Hollywood, and the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino.
Educate your money now.
Hello, and welcome to Educating Your Money podcast. I'm your host, Kristen Crew Case, owner of Matt Nick Bookkeeping Services. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. Today's episode is called Human Resources REimagined for the reopening of your business. We will be discussing what type of plan you may want to think about having in place prior to reopening and how you can take certain steps to ensure you, your business, and your employees are safe. We would like to thank Out and About Business Solutions for sponsoring our podcast. Today's guest is Sabrina Orque, President of SOLV HR. Sabrina founded SOLV HR in 2013 in an effort to reimagine how HR can work with businesses. Sabrina's experience includes working with James Bird, award-winning chef Charlie Palmer, as the Vice President of Human Resources. She opened 2 hotels in Las Vegas, Aladdin Resort and Casino, now Planet Hollywood, and the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino. She is experienced in operating in multiple states, including New York, Washington, D.C., California, Texas, Colorado, Nevada, Connecticut, and Florida. With over 20 years of management overseeing recruitment, benefits, and compensation, traditional labor relations, organizational development, and employee relations, Sabrina recognizes what leaders are looking for in a strategic business partner. Sabrina is a member of the National Chapter of the Society of Human Resource Management, SHRM. She is a past panel speaker for the Media Finance Management, MFM, conference discussing topics on HR as a strategic partner in business and company culture effects on businesses. Sabrina belongs to Global Gaming Women and is the moderator for GGW Lean in Circles. She is also the president of the Las Vegas Hospitality Service Provider, an organization dedicated to being advocates for hospitality operators in Las Vegas. Hello, Sabrina, and thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so as the United States has begun to reopen, many business owners are now being faced with wondering, what does this mean as they begin to bring back their employees? I'm sure thoughts of how do I protect myself, my business, my employees, and even my customers have been on the top of most business owners' minds. So Sabrina, we have some questions from our audience. And one of those questions being, just what is the major difference between an employee being furloughed and an employee being laid off?
Okay, good question. So technically there's no real difference in the definition, and it really is dependent on how the business or the organization uses the term. Most typically I see a furlough as defined as an employee still active on payroll, so they haven't been taken off of payroll. They're on some sort of administrative leave and they're just not getting paid. They continue to receive benefits, and it's for a short period of time until the business can get back going, and then there's no interruption. They just come back to work. A layoff, on the other hand, is defined as an employee who is terminated from payroll. So they're technically not an employee anymore, and they don't receive any benefits. So benefits end depending on their plan, and they may be paid out any vacation time that's owed to them. So they've separated with the company, separated employment with the company. They would usually have to reapply for employment. So if the business reopens, then they would go through the same process that they normally would go through as a new candidate, where they'd interview, they complete an application interview, complete new hire paperwork, and they would have a new start date as well.
Okay. And so for many of the businesses in this particular instance probably did furlough, I would imagine, because they were probably thinking that they would be reopening. So have you seen more people thinking or categorizing their employees as furlough?
I would say that half and half. Some of the businesses don't, they want to bring every single person back. And they don't want the hassle of having to go through the process and finding employees all over again. And so, yes. And they also want to make sure their employees are available once they open, and they can call them back right away. And that they have the incentive to do that because they may be offering benefits or keeping paid policies and so forth. So then they go that direction. For those who want to kind of start fresh and reevaluate their employees, their previous employees, they have decided to lay off or terminate, based off of payroll, and then reevaluate them all over again and see, who should come back, who shouldn't. It's kind of all over the place, but I would say like half and half. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you. So in these particular circumstances, in the circumstances that we're in now with the pandemic and everything going on, are there specific things a business owner should be aware of when preparing for making the decision to rehire their employees back or bring their employees back?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So again, so if you're rehiring, so they're starting all over. So that means they're not actively on your payroll. So they would go through that process as a new person, new candidate. They would have a new start date and everything else, and they'd have to wait for benefits based off of their company's benefit period, waiting period time. And as far as furlough is concerned, those employees, they can give as much time as possible and to make sure that they can prepare. I wouldn't say, okay, we're open June 4th, so let's get back, on, and you only give them 2 days. I would actually give them some ample amount of time to make arrangements and, be ready to come back. And that's what we should be using that time for.
And so what if there is an employee that doesn't want to come back to work and feels it's either too early or unsafe? What process should a business owner have in place for that?
That is a good question and a very common question. So basically, we're going to see more guidance on this. Every day it seems like there's something additional that we see out there. As we're all progressing, reopening, there's already some states that have laws in place for reopening. And what does that look like? In Nevada, we have, unemployment so far, those unemployment rules still apply. So if you're offering an employee to come back to work and they're uncomfortable, I would suggest going through an interactive process with that person. So if it's health related or they're of a high risk, for the virus in that category, you may want to have an interactive process with that employee, meaning talk to them, seeing what their concerns are, getting doctor certifications, that show that they have an issue and maybe you can accommodate, maybe you can't accommodate. So all of that it should be a consideration. But technically, if a person does not want to come back to work and they want to stay on unemployment, then they would, they're risking it, because in Nevada, there's still no, other than you don't have to look for a job, that you would have, if you're offered your job back, you would have to come back to work. So at that point, then the employee would have to go and talk to the unemployment office. The unemployment office makes the decision. A lot of the times, small business owners don't realize that, you're not making that decision for them. The unemployment office is making a decision whether or not someone gets unemployment. So they make the decision, you could appeal that decision, and until we get more guidance, that's, if you've got proof that they accepted or declined the job, then that would help you there. But they should get back to work.
Right. So is there a process then a business owner should follow when planning to reopen to keep their business and employees safe?
Yes. So what we've been recommending for our clients is they have to come up with a COVID-19 response plan of some sort. So that plan outlines what safety measures an employee will take to keep their employees safe, and it will also outline what they're requiring their employees to do to keep others safe. So this should also include, what happens when an employee exhibits symptoms, or it's your entire plan, and also include information about the Family First Coronavirus Response Act. And also the, any other new policies that you have in place. This is a good time for the employees to sign off on a new, maybe there's a addendum to the handbook. You've got new policies in place. Take a look at your leave policies. Take a look at and your absenteeism policy, because a lot of that come into play during this time. And I would have the employee sign off on the response plan as well. Now, some clients small businesses are considering whether or not they'll do temperature checks or they'll do medical questionnaires, and that's up to them what they want to do, and there's nothing necessarily against that, but I would caution when someone decides to do that, because you definitely have to have some sort of privacy person or that's keeping that information, that is the only person that has access to the information, and how you're actually going to distribute that information, because it's the record keeping piece of it that could get you in trouble.
So if someone has a COVID-19 response plan and they're taking temperature, they're supposed to be keeping record of that information?
Well, they would keep record of that information, or, in some fashion.
Right.
But again, it's kind of a touchy thing. You really have to put steps in place, because if you're checking their temperature at the door and then someone has a fever or they have a fever, and then you're pulling them off to the side, then that's not providing some sort of privacy for that person. So it's really, it has to be thought out, and we're telling business owners they have to really think through when they've decided to use the temperature screening and medical questionnaires. And then there are standard medical questionnaires that you could ask about, like, how are you feeling today? What kind of symptoms have you had any of the following symptoms? So they're basic questions, but that information has to be stored somewhere, and there should be one controlling person that's handling that.
Yeah, it almost sounds like you kind of get into the play with HIPAA almost.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Wow, I didn't think about that. Thank you for all that information. So that was great information for our business owners. And so Sabrina is offering a complimentary 1-hour consultation for our audience. If you are interested, be sure to post #reopen if you would like to receive a complimentary 1-hour consultation with SOLV HR. Sabrina, what can a business owner expect during a consultation with you?
Basically, they could ask us whatever they want, and we will provide any guidance. We will provide any HR guidance during that hour. So we're happy to do it. We're happy to educate businesses, small businesses, on human resources. I know sometimes HR can be one of those departments or that you don't want to talk to, or you don't know who to talk to or what to talk to them about. But we like to partner with our businesses and make sure that they have all the information that they have. Anything concerning an employee is an HR issue.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I would like to thank Sabrina for taking time out of her busy schedule, coming on the show and sharing her expertise. Be sure to post any questions or comments below. Let us know if there is a topic that you would like to have discussed on the show. Comment below or email educatingyourmoney@gmail.com. And if you are interested in receiving a complimentary 1-hour consultation with SOLV HR, be sure to post #reopen below. Sabrina, if any of our viewers or listeners have specific questions or wanted to reach out to you, how can they get a hold of you?
Sure, they can go to our website, www.solvhr.com, and they can go to our contact page and post information, post their email, their contact information, and we'll get back with them. Or they can go to info@solvhr.com, which is our email address, and also ask there.
Sounds good. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching Educating Your Money podcast, where it's not just about making money, but about educating your money.
Educate